Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, coming to you from a studio somewhere, not at our home studios at the Capital Region International Airport, but we are going to stay in mid-Michigan right now. We're going to spend a little time with Erica and Mike Lynn. They're co-founders of the Village Lansing. Folks, welcome. I appreciate you being here and taking the time. Let's explain exactly what the Village Lansing is. Michael, maybe we'll start with you.
So the Village Lansing is a nonprofit in Lansing's pretty much the south side of Lansing, where we focus on gun violence prevention by way of prevention, intervention, and support. Our motto, or our mission statement, is that we focus on education over abstinence. So that kind of rounds about our work and what we do here.
So it's interesting because you made our audience is, of course, mostly business people, but this has a great effect on business and the economic welfare of a certain area. Erica, maybe we'll ask you, what's the background to your story involving founding Village Lansing?
Much of the background really came from Mike and I growing up and living in Lansing our entire lives, and just really wanting to bring that village mindset back to our community for our youth. And I don't want to speak for Mike, but I'll let him touch on it briefly. But a lot of it had to do with my husband Mike's experiences growing up. And when we had the conversation, what are the things that I needed and didn't have growing up when I was facing some of these challenges, or maybe making decisions that were putting me on the wrong path that I didn't have, or what are some of the things that supported me when I did make different decisions, things like that. And that really shaped what we built the Village, Lansing around, and our programming and everything that we do.
All right. Michael, we'll give you the last mic on that question.
Yeah, so a lot of the young people that we work with are kids that are youth that are kind of in a similar situation I was in at their age. I was waived to adult court for some violent offenses when I was a teenager. I got a second chance at life. I really figured out, where the morals were implanted in me at whatever time in my life. And I wanted to make sure that young people today had those morals implants, so that when they do decide to change their life, it's there. And that's really what I think our focus is. So a lot of our programming is built out of what I would have needed and didn't have at the time. So that's generally the way that we approach it.
So listen, growing up where you grew up, and Michael, you said you got involved in some nasty stuff. Explain to people how hard it is to grow up in that environment and not get involved in.
Yeah, it's really the anomaly for the kid that doesn't get any involvement at all, when all your friends are smoking and the poverty level is so high. So people want nice shoes, they want nice things, they figure out ways to get those things. And then you have people who will take even those things that you've taken from somebody else from you. So then there's the bullying aspect that we all have to deal with. So I think that validating the kids' concern that there is a war going on out here is really one of our number one goals. And then to try to figure out creative ways for them to work their way out of those wars without having to harm anybody. So that's really what we do.
Well, and it's interesting to all of our business people out there. We're gonna pay for these problems one way or another.
That's right.
And so it's better to be a little more proactive and preventative in that. Now, you spoke to my Lansing Rotary, which is where I first heard from you. Great organization. Tell me about the Empowerment Network, Erica, and then we'll ask Michael about Lansing 360.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Empowerment Network is it's actually a model that was originally built in Omaha, Nebraska. So it was originally the Omaha Empowerment Network, and it's now been nationally recognized model to be replicated. And so when we looked at that, it's a very intense, collaborative, comprehensive collaboration model that takes cross sectors of every single aspect of a thriving, healthy community. So you have your business, you have your faith, you have your, public health, nonprofits, gun violence intervention, law enforcement, every aspect that you can think of that needs to be healthy in that sector coming together to really sit at a round table and figure out what are the issues that our community, our city are facing, and then building solutions around our specific issues in the ways that we each can, using our existing resources, our existing time, talents, and treasures. So that's really in a nutshell what the Empowerment Network is.
Which is bringing the solution from the area where the problem exists, which is not a bad way to think about this.
You got it.
Michael, tell me about Lansing 360.
Lansing 360 is a branch off of the Empowerment Network. It's one of our first initiatives outside of our jobs program that'll be called Lansing Step Up. But Lansing 360 is a collaborative that's specifically about gun violence. So we bring all of those same people in one room just to focus directly on gun violence and be very intentional about solutions that we can find for that. So that's the difference. This is just one thing. So like with the Lansing Empowerment Network, we may have homelessness, poverty, education, jobs, all in that conversation. But Lansing 360 is specifically about gun violence.
Taking the problems apart sometimes is the best way to solve the whole. I have to tell you, what you're doing is admirable. I appreciate that. How quickly does the business community get involved in this?
By joining the 360 stakeholders meetings that we have every other Wednesday. We just had one. Yesterday's Wednesday. We had both chiefs from Lansing Police Department involved. Just a gambit of folks. So reach out to the Lansing Empowerment Network on Facebook, and we can get you connected with that meeting on every other Wednesday.
Erica and Michael Lynn Jr., thanks, co-founders of the Village Lansing. Unbelievable when you think about people who say this is a problem intrinsic to Lansing, yet some of the solution came from Omaha. Who would have thought? So it does tell you that everyone has this problem. Thanks for the work you're doing. Thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to learn anything more about us, www.thevillagelansing.org and www.lansingempowermentnetwork.org.
There you go. Get involved. You're going to be one way or another. I'm Chris Holman, and you're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network.